La lumière danse dans ses yeux, elle cache un secret envieux. Chaque matin, un nouveau mystère. Mademoiselle vit sans frontières. Les rues murmurent des contes d'ombre. Elle marche comme un rêve sombre. Tous les jours, un chapitre écrit. Des légendes que le jour nie. Oh, Mademoiselle raconte ta saga. Les histoires que personne ne voit. Dans la nuit, tu dévoileras les secrets cachés sous ta soie. Un sourire garde des énigmes, des mots doux aux limites abîmes. Elle joue avec le quotidien, transformant tout en destin. Les reflets cachent des vérités que personne ne peut interpréter. Dans son regard mystifié, un monde entier à déchiffrer. Mademoiselle raconte ta saga, les histoires que personne ne voit. Dans la nuit, tu dévoileras les secrets cachés sous ta soie.
Hello, hello. Get here, get cozy. It's tea time. Please hit the like button, subscribe for notification, and share with others. Greetings, Saga Lovers. Welcome to our Saga Reveal. I'm your host, Madem-Oiselle. Come in, come in. We are live on the tube. Okay, guys, let's chat and gab. And remember, this is for commentary and entertainment only. There's nobody in law school, nobody with any law degree or any medical degree or any judge degrees. So here we are on week 2 of the trial. And we're going to continue on our read. So, the freezer meat, he called it, Inner City Press. Thank you. Freezer meat and Kid Cudi's burning car. Interesting. For the arrival at the Diddy trial of his nemesis Scott Mescudi, whose porch was burned up in Los Angeles, sorry guys, Homeland Security officer and U.S. Marshal stood, let's zoom this in a bit, stood out on Worth Street upstairs before the jury came in. The talk of Kid Cudi's dog. There was some laughter. As there has been early in week 2, when the male dancer known as the Punisher used the trial to promote his ED book with freezer meat in the title. That's the title. Try to keep up between references to Prince Party, to Tesla, to Obama, face imprinted onto drugs was not easy, but it was U.S. versus Sean Combs, and I covered it since the night before the arrest and indictment. Yes, as per Inner City Press, he's been on it, so I'd push forward, including pushing to get more of the filing in the case put into the public docket. Indeed. Number 2 chapter here, unsealing time. Amid of Diddy's Uphola and some asking to see the FOB videos, if only as a pool. He's now 10 lawyer and the prosecutors are both refusing to make public their filing to the court. But they are judicial documents Inner City Press filed this morning, last week, before the jury came in. Both the government and the defense referred to simple communication to the court and evidentiary and other issues, but these are not in the public docket on PACER. Nope, they're not. This application letter motion argued that many, if not all of these, are judicial documents to which the public and press have the right of access. They should be put in the docket now and going forward in this trial, DK3, docket 336. And Judge Subramanian agrees 3 times. First, before the jury came in on May 19, the beginning of week 2, we have an application for the press that correspondence be posted to the docket. Now, we kept hearing it all week. I think it was well taken, but I'd ask you to do, if you have your staff organize the correspondence and then file what exists to date by next Tuesday. We'll find out next Tuesday, this upcoming Tuesday. So not something you have to deal with urgently. Let's get in with the docket by next Tuesday and try to handle that on a weekly basis. Why on that must delay, I wonder, and report it. Then, an order, Aaron Subramanian, United States District Court, this 25 CR 5428S order, the court is in receipt of a letter from the press requesting that email communication from the parties regarding evidentiary and other issues should be docketed DK 336 by May 27th, 2025. The parties should docket any correspondence to and from the court concerning evidentiary objection or application for relief. To the extent they have not been docketed, the parties making all application is responsible for docketing the correspondence. Moving forwards, the parties should be docketed any email correspondence by end of the week following the application or objection being made. So ordered. He goes on May 20th, 2025. So, did that mean the next Friday for something filed on a Monday that is delayed up to 12 days in this trial, supposed to last 8 weeks? Judge Subramanian followed up with another order in response to a letter from press requesting that email correspondence from the parties be posted on the public docket. The court issued an order requiring that email correspondence be docketed by end of the week. It was sent by the end of the week, and it was originally sent on docket 342. To clarify, the schedule applies only to actual email that are sent to the court. All letters must be docketed when they are submitted, even if they are also emailed as attachment to chambers. May 2022 for that date. So maybe week 3 for the trial will be easier to report. For now, there are problems. Stage 3, as the U.S. Versus Sean Combs trial moved into the second week, things got weird. Not only in the court where exotic dancer calling himself the Punisher used his testimony to toot his book about ED, but only online as well. As YouTube's site claimed that Inner City Press had repeated that Nicki Minaj had told Cassie to stay with Combs, even made a fake or Photoshop tweet to go along with it. Oof. I've learned about it via direct message and put out a tweet to clarify, but to some, that wasn't enough. I should sue this site. I was told, or even that Nicki Minaj might do me. No time, especially with the trial days starting early now. Then a claim I'd reported comments purportedly from Prince about l'affaire Diddy, and then from Shayla E. Whatever. I stepped out of the courtroom to quieter Pearl Street Way, waiting to do a midway vlog. But there was a loud leaf blower, so I stopped midway through. And on my way back in, a reporter from the Shade Room asked to interview me. Sure, I said. I explained about Nicki Minaj and even talked about this book. Then I went back in. There were more tweets put up. Number 4, Don Richards, Dirty Money. They called us Dirty Money. We saw a lot of dirt from Diddy, but money, not so much. That day when Cassie cooled the eggs, I've run it through in my mind. That's why I have so many aversion. I prepped for friendly Agnifino like Colombo, then got this blowtorch from Georgia Westmore. Wise Maureen Comey agree. Cassie got paid, but I'm still in the line. Danity Kane, Dirty Money indeed. Carrie Morgan, the load from Buffalo to Ibiza. To begin, dangled off the balcony over the Comstock in LA. Chump change for NDA, and no one asked me why. I need it so bad. Thank God for Colombo cutting loose a friend. Of 17 years, it's not a good look. I've kept my looks, and no one asked if I have kids or what's it been like. For the last decade, I've been a big weight to carry for Carrie. 6th day of trial, May 19th, 2024. All rise, Judge Subramanian. On the defense application with regard to Don Richard, Ms. Grego's opening statement opened a door to this testimony as to Mr. James. The testimony would be inadmissible absent more. Assistant U.S. Attorney, as I argue in my letter, noted Judge Subramanian just ruled orally on a letter that are not in the docket, although they are clearly judicial document. Inner City Press challenged it to this is in the docket, unsealing docket bid. Judge Subramanian, the same brand of testimony that was objected to on Friday. Does the government expect Richard to say what she heard and saw? Assistant U.S. Attorney, yes, Judge, that would be permissible, just like the testimony in the recording studio. Assistant U.S. Attorney Slavic personal assistants were with Mr. Combs 20 hours a day. Their testimony is admissible. Judge, my concern is that there are other ways to get this evidence in. Mr. James, what Mr. James would add is just a postscript. Combs Agnifilo, on the David James issue, this defeat the whole purpose of this hearsay objection. The government is arguing that it's all admissible because the jobs descriptions are so vague. We contend these are personal matters. Judge, let me focus you on the assault on the chef Mr. James learned from a member of the security detail that Mr. Combs assaulted the chef. Would that be in the scope of their employment? Combs Igniflo, I don't know how that relevance this has to racketeering. Of course, Combs Igniflo acts innocent. This is becoming a sort of a bad act, free for all. Assault is just not one of the racketeering act. Assistant U.S. Attorney Slavic, this is relevant to the means and method of the enterprise. The chef is identified as a victim of forced labor. Combs Igniflo, I'm going to defer to Miss Westmoreland on the other witnesses. Combs Westmoreland, Miss Richard claims that Mr. Combs assaulted Miss Ventura right in front of her. These other alleged threats are now here near in close proximity to an alleged assault. Combs Westmore, we have to distinguish between the Danity Kane and the Diddy Dirty Money era. And Mr. Pierre's telling her, where are you going to go? I don't see how that can be construed as a threat. Judge, let me think about that. Judge, we have an application from the press that emails be put in the record. I am directing you to put them together in the docket by next Tuesday, and after that on a weekly basis. Note, it's Inner City's press request. Thanks, but a week late. Here in Inner City Press filing challenging these judicial documents. That's why I kind of like to get his stuff. Hey. So filing challenging these judicial documents, not going into the docket at all. Now they will, but on a week delay, maybe required another filing. For sure, go ahead, buddy. Jury entering, Assistant U.S. Attorney Slavic. When Mr. Combs told you people could be missing, how did you interpret it? Don Richard says that people could die. I can believe that this could be the beginning of a journey for us, Assistant U.S. Attorney asks her. As Diddy Dirty Money? Oh, this is where they clarify it. Don Richard says yes. Assistant U.S. Attorney Slavic, what did you observe, Don Richard? He would drag her and kick her and punch her in the mouth. Assistant U.S. Attorney, what would prompt these acts of violence? Combs Westmoreland objection. Judges overruled. Don Richard goes. When she would speak up for herself, as Assistant U.S. Attorney Slavic, who in security witnessed these things. Don Richard confirms D-Rock, because Ventura Cassie said it. And Bonds were witnesses. Assistant U.S. Attorney goes, where did Miss Ventura get hit? Don Richard, her knees and face all over. Assistant U.S. Attorney goes, did there come a time you were in New York for a festival? Don Richard said, yes, in Central Park. Slavic goes, in the residence, what happened? Don is like, he punched Cassie. She came into the bathroom crying. You could see her upset. Listen, she was hurt. Like she was hurt. Sorry, guys. Combs Westmore goes, objection, and the judge is like, sustain. What injury did you observe? Swallowed eyes. Swallowed eye. Assistant U.S. Attorney. Why would you remain with Miss Ventura after this incident? Don Richard. I wanted her to feel supported. Assistant U.S. Attorney. That's it. What's this? Dawn is like, the Central Park event. They show her a photo of Cassie in glasses and Don Richard too. Assistant U.S. Attorney goes, why did you wear them? Don Richard said, solidarity. Assistant U.S. Attorney goes, the next assault, who was there? Don said, D-Rock. Capricorn Clark. And she said also another name like Harvey Pierre. Assistant U.S. Attorney goes, who was Harvey Pierre? Don Richard says, at Bad Boys, answering to Sean Combs. Assistant U.S. Attorney goes, did they do anything? Don Richard says, none of us did anything. Oof. Like good employees under the umbrellas of the umbrellas. Don Richard, when we drove back to LA, he slapped Cassie in the mouth and told her to shut the F up. Assistant U.S. Attorney says, how did the passenger respond? Don Richard, we stayed silent for the rest of the ride. All of you could have jumped him. Wow. Yeah. But no, the goons were there. Everybody was terrified and they were quiet. Don Richard, I asked myself, if he did that to someone he supposedly loved, what would he do to an employee? So I'd approach Mr. Combs with softness. Assistant U.S. Attorney, did you try to intervene in the relationship? Miss Richard said, no, for my safety, my own safety. Assistant U.S. Attorney goes, did you see Mr. Combs using drugs? Don Richard said, yes. Weed, K, M, C. Assistant U.S. Attorney goes, opioids? Don Richard's like, that I never saw. Assistant U.S. Attorney, who brought him the drugs? Don Richard, one stop. He had it all, including Plan B, birth control. Oof, what the hell? Assistant U.S. Attorney, did you see Mr. Combs with guns? Don Richard goes, yes, handguns on his own lower back. Assistant U.S. Attorney goes, who else had guns? That's like a misspell because he just types it straight from court. Don Richard, security, D-Rock, and Bonds. Assistant U.S. Attorney, what did you do after Bad Boys? Richard said, sing. Whenever I got momentum, I get a FaceTime from him. Oof. Assistant U.S. Attorney, how would you speak to him? Don, very soft. I'd always call him bro. Assistant U.S. Attorney, why did you not disclose the abuse you've seen? Don Richard says, I was told not to by Mr. Combs and Harvey Pierre. Assistant U.S. Attorney goes, when did you speak out? Don Richard says, 2024. Don Richard, I saw Miss Ventura take the stand and tell the truth. Here goes Combs Westmoreland lawyer. Objection. Judge sustained. Assistant U.S. Attorney goes, did you see Miss Ventura file a civil lawsuit and then file your own? Don Richard said, yes. Judge Cross, Combs Westmore, you are aware that there's a motion to dismiss your lawsuit? Don Richard, I have a civil lawyer. Westmore, you sat with prosecutors and you allegation have changed. Don Richard, I've been consistent. Combs Westmoreland, you testified he attempted to hit her about the egg and Miss Ventura dropped down in a fetal position, right? Don Richard said, yes. Westmoreland, did you ever say you heard a pan hit the wall? You didn't see it. Don Richard, I don't recall. Combs Westmoreland, would you agree with me? It has been hard for you to keep your story straight with the rest with respect to this egg incident. Don Richard says, I told it as close as I could. Westmoreland, the day after you said Mr. Combs said people go missing, yes? Combs Westmoreland goes, let's do your interview on Let's do your interview on March 18, 2025. Did you did not say anything about Mr. Combs told you people go missing, Don Richard. I don't recall that. Westmoreland goes, no worries. I'm going to show you a document for the parties only, page 5. Combs Westmoreland, isn't it true the first time you said this was a week ago? Would you like me to show you your previous interview, Don Richards? I know what I said, Westmoreland. You said Mr. Combs made a death threat, one that you didn't recall 7 times. Combs Westmoreland, let's move to alleged incident before the Central Park concert. You are aware that there was a camera crew? Don Richard, not in the bathroom. Westmoreland, you were filmed in the park. Are you aware if the video has been turned over? Assistant U.S. Attorney, Don goes, no. Combs Westmoreland, about the guns. You didn't tell the prosecutors about I saw guns at Diddy's house. Don Richard said, they didn't ask. Westmoreland, you never saw Mr. Combs pull a gun out and wave it, load bullets or cock it, Don Richard. He just had it. Combs Westmoreland, did you tell the government you never saw Mr. Combs do cocaine? Don said, I don't recall. Westmoreland, your testimony has changed on quite a few things. Don Richard says, as time progressed, I remember more. Combs Westmoreland, you saw One Stop sell drugs. You saw him take money. Yes. Westmoreland, all right. 1 second. Didn't you tell the government you never saw anyone pay him? So you lied, right? Richard, nope. Sidebar. Back to the sidebar. Combs Westmoreland. It was you who reached out to Mr. Combs to work with him again. This Westmoreland, come on. Don Richard, yes. Westmoreland, but he had threatened you, right? You asked him to work with you again. Don Richard said, yes. Westmoreland, okay. Combs Westmoreland goes, the song you released on your own have not reached the level of what you released with Danity Kane or Diddy Money, right? We don't care. Don't worry, Miss Westmoreland. Don is like, true. Westmoreland, and you reached out to Mr. Combs to try to make more money, right? Well, she said yes. Don, Assistant U.S. Attorney, can we have a short sidebar? Sidebar is not short. Still wondering why the side's legal argument to the judge judicial document will only go into the docket a week's delay. He's annoyed. They're back from the long sidebar. Redirect. Assistant U.S. Attorney goes, why did you file your civil lawsuit? When I worked for Sean, I had no sleep. The conditions were probably horrible. Assistant U.S. Attorney, because I read this lawsuit before, and she didn't even get sick, affected her whole immune system. As Assistant U.S. Attorney goes, in every meeting with the government, did you see that Mr. Combs beat Ms. Ventura? She said yes. Assistant U.S. Attorney goes, why would you reach out to Mr. Combs? Don is like, one of the judge on making the band, Lorianne Gibson, I want to reach out, probably asked her to reach out. Westmoreland goes, objection, and the judge is sustained. How often would you hear from Mr. Combs after you left Diddy Dirty Money? And Don is like, sporadically. Assistant U.S. Attorney, why did you reach out? To help Kalina Harper. Assistant U.S. Attorney goes, no further question. Combs Westmoreland, may we have a brief conference at the bench sidebar? Again, recross. So Combs Westmoreland goes, you admit you reached out to Mr. Combs to re-engage. You claim only to have a relationship with Lorianne Gibson. But if it got back together, you'd have to see Mr. Combs more, right? And Don is like, yes. Combs Westmoreland, you sue for money, right, Richard? For justice, she said. Westmoreland, but the suit asked for money, right? That's justice. Richard said yes. Westmoreland, no further question. Miss Slavic, no redirect. Combs, Donaldson, break. And the judge is like, okay, break. And the jury enters back. What do we have here? Assistant U.S. Attorney, the government calls Gary Morgan. Where do you live, Gary? In Los Angeles. Assistant U.S. Attorney asks her, who is this? Photo. Carrie Morgan Cassie, Assistant U.S. Attorney, what's your relationship? We were best friends. Her boyfriend assaulted me, she said. Assistant U.S. Attorney, is she messing around? Carrie, do you see him here? Carrie, yes, there in a yellow sweater. Point him out. Assistant U.S. Attorney, let the record reflect witness had identified defendant Sean Combs. Assistant U.S. Attorney, why are you here, Carrie? I got subpoenaed. Assistant U.S. Attorney, where did you live with Cassie? In Manhattan, she said. Assistant U.S. Attorney, did Cassie drink? Morgan, not much. Assistant U.S. Attorney goes, any drugs? None. Assistant U.S. Attorney, what was she doing for work? Modeling. Then she recorded me and you. Assistant U.S. Attorney, when did you learn they were dating? 2007. Did you travel with Cassie and Combs? Carrie, yes, there and there. Ibiza and Miami. Assistant U.S. Attorney, what did Mr. Combs provide? Morgan said, Molly, MJ, and ecstasy. Assistant U.S. Attorney goes, which did Mr. Combs take? Morgan said, all. Morgan, did you take drugs? Alone with Cassie. Morgan, opioids. Assistant U.S. Attorney, how did Mr. Combs act? Carrie, he would yell at Cassie. She lost her confidence big time, lost her spark. Assistant U.S. Attorney goes, did Mr. Combs talk down to Cassie? Yes, about her looks, who she talked to. Assistant U.S. Attorney goes, did he contact you looking for her a lot? Carrie Morgan says, sometimes he would call 50 times in a row. Assistant U.S. Attorney goes, would other call you for him? Yes, Christina, Coram, or KK. Assistant U.S. Attorney goes, did you witness assault? Morgan says, yes. First in the Hollywood Hills, Ruben, one of his security, was there. Assistant U.S. Attorney, what did Mr. Combs do to Cassie? Carrie, he kicked her. Assistant U.S. Attorney goes, what did she do? Morgan, nothing. I told Ruben to do something. He indicated he wouldn't. Assistant U.S. Attorney goes, then what? Morgan, we left the house. Cassie and I were hiding by someone's front steps. Assistant U.S. Attorney, and the next time, Carrie Morgan says, in Jamaica, I saw him drag her by her hair. I ran back to get my purse and phone, and so we could leave. Assistant U.S. Attorney, what did you see next? Carrie, I thought she was knocked out. Then she got up and ran into a wooden area. Assistant U.S. Attorney goes, what happened next? Carrie, there were 2 golf cars in the driveway. I got in one and Sean got in the other. We went in different direction looking for Cassie. Assistant U.S. Attorney, did you find her? Morgan says, yes. Then we hid in the ditch, whispering. Assistant U.S. Attorney, what about the incident in Camstock apartment? Carrie goes, well, Casey came back with a hoodie covering her face. Then Sean came and tried to get in, hitting the door with a hammer. I called D-Rock. Assistant U.S. Attorney, did he get in? Morgan, no, the police came. Assistant U.S. Attorney goes, what happened? Carrie Morgan, Cassie wouldn't show them her ID. Nothing happened. They left a car. U.S. Attorney goes, read this message. Did you send an attachment? Morgan, yes, a photo of the card the detective left. Assistant U.S. Attorney, did Mr. Combs ever assault you? Carrie, yes, he hit me with a wooden coat hanger and choked me. What a man. Assistant U.S. Attorney goes, where did the hanger hit you? Morgan, hit me right behind my right ear. Assistant U.S. Attorney, what did he express concerns about? Who Cassie was cheating on him with? Assistant U.S. Attorney goes, who did you speak to about it? Carrie goes, Ryan, Sean's old assistant. Assistant U.S. Attorney goes, what did he do? Morgan, and nothing, shrugs. I have not spoken with Cassie since. Judge goes break, jury out for lunch. The argument continued. Judge, what's your best citation to try to get this evidence in? Blah, blah, blah. Judge, I'd look at them and we'll come back. Combs and Nicofello, I haven't seen this before. Judge, you all need to get something to eat to break. They're back from a brief lunch. Judge, if I let this is Miss Ventura could be recalled as a witness. I doubt we would call her, Judge. The defense could call her back to the stand. Assistant U.S. Attorney goes, I doubt she would be available. Judge, the evidence is out. Judge, I anticipate Mr. David James will be the next witness. How is he relevant? Assistant U.S. Attorney goes, as to the means and methods of the enterprise. Mr. Combs threatening to assault employees. Judge entering. Assistant U.S. Attorney goes, no further question to Miss Morgan. Judge Cross, Combs Ignifilo goes, you were Miss Ventura's best friend since 2004. Carrie, actually 2001. We met waiting for Polaroid to develop as I was living in Buffalo. She was in Connecticut. Combs Ignifilos. And then you were both in NYC. Carrie Morgan goes, I stayed downtown. She moved to Harlem. Ignifilo goes, have you ever met Kim Porter? Morgan says, yes, probably at a concert. Ignifilo goes, was Cassie ever jealous? Yes. Combs Ignifilo goes, and the other way. Carrie Morgan, Cassie was speaking with Michael B. Jordan and Sean got jealous. She was trying to leave him. Ignifilo, you were both using D. Morgan, no, you were in South Africa. Ignifilo goes, did you learn about Gina? She said yes. Carrie, he was having a full-on relationship with this little girl, she said. Combs Ignifilo, why did you call her that? She act like she's younger than us. Combs Ignifilo, you said Sean came and hammered on the door. Why did the police come? Carrie, they said because of the noise. Ignifilo goes, what did they say to you? Morgan says Cassie was visibly injured, but she didn't say anything. Combs Ignifilo goes, you two were best friends for 18 years, but now you haven't spoken with her since 2018. Carrie Morgan goes, that's true. Ignifilo goes, at the danger of being capital obvious. That's a long time. She moved on. Objection. Combs Ignifilo goes, why haven't you spoken with her, Kerr? She did not support me after Sean assaulted me. I tried that line at I draw that line at assault, I guess. Ignifilo goes, you reached a settlement with Ms. Ventura, Morgan. The money came from Mr. Combs. Ignifilo showed Carrie Morgan photo, then asked, Combs Ignifilo, do you know if Louise Hayes is self-help author about self-affirmation? Morgan, yes. Ignifilo, why did you send him this with words of encouragement? Morgan, I don't remember sending it. Ignifilo goes, okay. Combs Ignifilo, I want to show you a few more photos. But first, let's talk about the incident when he put his hands on your neck. Where were you and Cassie? Were you and Cassie using drugs at the time? Carrie said no. Ignifilo goes, what did he say? Morgan, he said, who is she cheating with? And Ignifilo goes, you went to an urgent care and not the hospital, Carrie, right? Ignifilo, but you don't. But you don't. The prosecutor is, it was bloody and you went to the hospital. Morgan goes, I don't remember that. Look, at this 35 material not shown to the jury, Carrie Morgan, I see what I said that. Now cross-examination. Assistant U.S. Attorney goes, do you remember Mr. Ignifilo asking you about an incident in LA? Combs Ignifilo goes, objection. Judge overruled. Assistant U.S. Foster. And he hit her like in Jamaica, arguing about jealousy. Assistant U.S. Attorney Foster. What happened in Jamaica, Carrie? He dragged Casey by her hair. A 50-yard hallway. Assistant U.S. Attorney goes, was he talking about jealousy, Morgan? No, he said she spent too long in the bathroom. Assistant U.S. Attorney goes, nothing further. Judge recross Igniflo now. Next witness is David James. Assistant U.S. Attorney goes, why are you here, James? I've been subpoenaed. Another one. Assistant U.S. Attorney goes, were you Combs' personal assistant? David's like, from 2007 to 2009. Who is that in this photo? David James that is David James. Assistant U.S. Attorney. That is yourself. Yes, David James. I went to college in Michigan. Later, I faxed my resume to Bad Boys. Assistant U.S. Attorney. Where was the interview? And he said it was on 1710 Broadway. Assistant U.S. Attorney goes, where did you meet? David goes, Tommy. Who did you meet? Tommy, his sister, Keisha, and others. Assistant U.S. Attorney goes, how did they test you, James? They gave me 40 appointments and asked me to make a schedule. You had to know, for example, what time a particular show on Hot 97 came on. What did Mr. Combs ask you, Mr. Combs, to make a spreadsheet for Miami? And David James, I said I know his food and restaurants preferences. He asked me why I make a good assistant. I said, can't stop, won't stop. I got the job. Assistant U.S. Attorney goes, did you have others? James goes, Miss Robles, Mr. Barber, others. Assistant U.S. Attorney goes, what would you do as an assistant? James goes, bad boy to 5, then out to dinner, then to the studio to 3 a.m. would get a call time. At the end of the night, Assistant U.S. Attorney goes, did you travel with Mr. Combs as well? David said yes. Assistant U.S. Attorney says, who were the security staff? James goes, D-Rock, Bonds, Uncle Polly, blah, blah, blah. Assistant U.S. Attorney, you work 20 hours a day? David says, yes, security did too. Assistant U.S. Attorney, what did security staff tell you, James, to stay in my lane? Assistant U.S. Attorney goes, who said that? He says, Bond, Uncle Polly. Assistant U.S. Attorney goes, focus on his personal chef. Who is it? And David goes, Chef Jordan. Jordan Atkinson. Assistant U.S. Attorney goes, did Mr. Combs have girlfriends then? David's like, Kim Porter, Sarah, Tara, Yana, and Cassie. Yeah, even Kim was a girlfriend, never married. U.S. Attorney goes, what was your first conversation with Cassie? James was like, we were on Star Island. Carrie Morgan was there too. Cassie said, this lifestyle is crazy. David James, I asked her, why would you leave? She said, why won't you leave? She said, Sean controls my life, my music. He pays for my apartment. Assistant U.S. Attorney goes, next conversation, David James. It was about her music, but the album never came out. Assistant U.S. Attorney goes, did you overhear overheard a conversation. David goes, yes. And David says, Mr. Combs says Kim is my queen out in LA with my family. He said, I have Cassie right here where I want her. She's young and moldable. Yes, we all knew that. You creepy old man. Assistant U.S. Attorney, Your Honor, how much longer do you want to go? This would be a good place to break, Judge. We'll break. And looks like we're going to break too after just reading this. Let's see. Number 7 is David Jones, Sassy Assistant. Again, it was a fashion show I wanted to get into. Then I was in a car with Diddy and the Regans rushing towards Death Row and Suge Knight at Mel's dinner. I prefer Roscoe's Chicken Hawk advising on Star Island hiding my joint Diddy popping and manhandling Chef Jordan. I am more than a lube buyer. It was time to leave, but I never took the fifth. Sheree Hayes, freezer meat back. When I played ball on West 4th, they call me the Punisher. We can be all in the NBA or even Turkey or Serbia. Yeah. I've been dry humping for years until my luck dried up. It was under Diddy. Field eyes, but I'm turning it around with a book about freeze meat, and this Xavier mocked me as he can. Can't change that Hulkamania. I shall prevail. All right, so yeah, looks like we can do the 7th day of the trial going on here before the jury comes in. Agniflu always goes on. We oppose David James' testimony, oh, of course, and about the incident of Suge Knight. He's going to mention D-Rock said he was a friend of Biggie Small. That's decade old, not relevant. Seems that you are previewing your cross. Witnesses, personal assistant David James takes a stand. Of course, he comes back. Good morning. Welcome back. Yes, we're going to leave it here. And we're going to do this tomorrow. With that, see you all on next saga here. Same 2 time, same 2 channel. Signing out your host, Sagal. Thank you for being here. Appreciate it. Night night.